Hi. Well, welcome everyone. We are so happy to have you all here tonight. We are having this program as part of our ongoing Israel series where we explore how art, culture, and creativity can shape our understanding of identity and coexistence and connection. And tonight we have the privilege of diving into a really remarkable design project that quite literally bridges languages, and that is Aravrit. An Aravrit is a hybrid writing system that merges the Hebrew and Arabic alphabets into one shared script. Each word can be read in both languages without either erasing or overshadowing the other. And it's a true visual expression of coexistence and mutual recognition, inviting us to see difference not as division, but as possibility. It was created by Israeli design entrepreneur Liron Lavi Turkenich. Aravrit began as a deeply personal response to something that many Israelis and Arabs experience daily, which is the bilingual street signs that most only half read. I say that as someone who has frequently driven on those roads and witnessed all of the English misspellings on the same roads. So when Liron noticed her own habit of overlooking the Arabic script, she began to ask herself, what would it take to truly see each other's languages? What would that mean? And that question sparked a project that has since reached millions of people, from Jerusalem to Dubai, from the BBC to the London Design Museum, and from classrooms to murals around the world. Liron is a design entrepreneur with a master's in typeface design from the University of Reading. She has created multilingual typefaces for global companies, curated international design conferences, and co-leads a global mentorship network for women in type design. And this evening, we'll hear about the inspiration, philosophy, and impact behind Aravrit, and then experience it ourselves with a bit of a workshop. So thank you for all being here, for your openness, for your curiosity, and please join me in welcoming Liron, who will help us to see and connect across difference.
Thank you. This is so nice. Can you hear me well, like this? Okay, so I am so happy to be here, honestly. I think we'll do a little imagination exercise to warm up. But first, I'd like to say that a lot of imagination was required to make this happen. So thank you, Rabbi Berman, for this. Really, an email after email of flights have been canceled again and again. I think it's over 3 times we tried to make it happen. We had a date and everything. And as you'll see, stuff happened. I still cannot believe we're here. Of course, the subway had to get stuck on the way. I took a taxi. I got all the seasons of New York in the past couple of days. I got all means of public transportation. But I'm just so happy to be here. So let's start with a little imagination exercise. So if you feel comfortable, I would love for you to close your eyes for a minute. Otherwise, you can just look at my photo, closing my eyes. And I'd like you to imagine this scenario. You live your whole life, and then you discover that you've been ignoring something for many years. How would you react? Would you be sad or disappointed that you ignored something, you missed out on something? Would you just be indifferent and carry on in your life? Or would you feel so strongly about this notion of what you ignored that it will prompt you to create something new, to act on it? So I'd love for you to open your eyes now. This is what happened to me 14 years ago, 2012. We've got this, right? So I should just click here? Yeah, okay. So today, thank you, Brooklyn, for this lovely introduction. So we're going to talk about the power of hybridity, and I'm so happy to hear that there are many congregations here and interfaith relations, which is great. And it's exactly where I come from. I live in Haifa. I was born and raised in Haifa. I still live there now with my family. And when I was a shlicha, many years ago in New Hampshire, I would go around and say that I live in a Haifa, a city of coexistence. It would be like my poster city. And I would love to talk about this wherever I went. And did anyone ever visit Israel? Show of hands? Yeah, okay. So if you have, and if you haven't, yes, there are misspellings in English 100%. So this is how most of the street signs look. They're trilingual. So we've got Hebrew, English, and Arabic. And this is my street sign. And in Israel, everyone learns English as a second language. Some people learn a third language, which is Arabic. And some people learn a third language, which is French. So I happened to study French. It didn't seem like any problem to me that I'm not studying Arabic at all, living in this coexistence city. But one day I was walking down the street, and I realized that I'm actually looking at the street sign like this. So I'm reading the Hebrew. I know that the English... Thank you. I know that the English is there, but I'm not paying too much attention to it because I'm already reading the Hebrew. But I'm looking at the Arabic, at the content, at the letters, as if they are just nice decorations. Beautiful ornaments, but not as if they are letters with meaning and content. And this realization really struck me because I thought I'm living in this coexistence city. It made me understand that maybe I'm not only ignoring the Arabic on the sign, maybe I'm ignoring every Arabic aspect of my life. I realized that actually Haifa, my coexistence poster city, we don't really live in coexistence, we live in parallel existence. I live my own life with my own friends and family and language and culture and holidays, and others, they're living their own life with their own families and holidays and language and culture, but we never really meet. So my radars were on. I wanted to see how or what can happen in a country where there are so many languages and cultures, and trying to see if they can interact in some way. I came across this. This is a simple printed page in the Ethiopic church in Jerusalem. And my radars were open to try and find something to create. And I really loved this sign. So it was Amharic on top, then English, then Hebrew, and Arabic. And then someone started correcting the English. So it was, please watch your head. No, it's mind your head. No, it's watch your head. See, there is a little discussion, spontaneous discussion going on there. And then someone added the Cyrillic, the Russian. And then someone added Korean. So Hangul letters. And all of that just happened spontaneously in one space. Languages started interacting with one another. And, we always have that vision of the creative person sitting and getting the muse, right? They have the muse and they create something, but it's just not the case. It's never the case. But I did start, as I said, my radars were open and I started looking at things. So this is Hebrew that looks like Arabic in one of the books I found in a bookshop in Haifa. This is a great hummus restaurant near where I live. And I knew I wanted to do something, but I didn't feel like I'm the activist type, the classic activist type who would go to rallies and protest. I just didn't feel like it's me. You'll see, it will change throughout the years, but I wanted to see what happens when I'm taking my own toolbox, which is letters. I'm a typeface designer. I design fonts. As Brooklyn said, I design fonts. This is like kind of my day job. I design for Google, Adobe, HP, Microsoft, and so on. I design their Hebrew companions. So I wanted to see what happens if I take these letters and create something. Will I be able to give the same respect for both the Hebrew and the Arabic? And I started by doing a visual research. If anyone is interested, I gave a talk at Stanford about trilingual signage in Israel. I have lots of conclusions. But I did find that there is almost no interaction between the languages on the sign. They're either placed on top of each other, right next to one another, but it's kind of a defaulty situation. So I went back and I started looking at old manuscripts from both Hebrew and Arabic writings. And I saw that there are so many similarities. So in Hebrew and Arabic, both are written from right to left. Both languages are Semitic scripts, come from the same sources, same roots. And also traditionally, they're written with the same writing tool, depending on where you're located around the globe. However, when I wanted to connect these letters somehow, they look very much different. Does anyone have an observation? What's different about these? Yeah.
Connected versus disconnected letters.
Great. So in Hebrew, the letters are disconnected, and in Arabic they're connected. That's the part of the design, part of the script itself. What else? Can you see? Yes.
So the Hebrew letters are very blocky.
Great, wonderful. The Hebrew letters are very blocky. They're constructed of straight lines and angles, whereas the Arabic a lot more flowing, a lot rounder. And also, I feel that the Hebrew is a bit more stiff, or may I say formal, whereas the Arabic can get much more spontaneous with it. And as a designer, I started going to the mood boards and wanting to see what happens when two different things from the same area, from the same realm, are interacting. And I had one research question. What happens when you combine two things that are different? So there were several possible options. One of the options was if you connect two things, nothing happens. Just nothing happens. Or one of the options was if you would connect two things, maybe they would lose their essence, like when you combine water and flour, they become dough, but you can't see the water anymore, you can't see the flour anymore. That's definitely not what I wanted to create. The one thing I was hoping to find or create is to have a sum greater than a sum that's greater than the sum of their parts. So I wanted the 1 + 1 to be 3. That was my hope, but honestly, I had no idea how to get there. Mood boards got me this far, and then I was kind of stuck. Until I remembered this guy, Dr. Louis-Émile Geval, a 20th century optometrist from France. And Geval discovered something quite extraordinary, which I heard of many years back. And I pulled that information from my brain. This is what Geval discovered. Can you read it? Yeah? So Geval discovered that in order to read Latin letters, and it's the same for French, Portuguese, Spanish, we need the top part. And I loved that concept, and I was looking for ways, wanted to see if it applies to Hebrew maybe. Does anyone here know Hebrew, know how to write Hebrew? Okay. So I wanted to see if this worked for Hebrew. Yeah, no, yeah. This is not the way to go. Most of the rooftops look exactly the same, and I can differentiate between bet and chaf and vav and yud and so on. It's just impossible to read, and this was not the way to go. However, I did discover that if you look at the bottom half of Hebrew letters, you can actually read it. You can identify the letters. בעברית, רוב המאפיינים נמצאים בחלק התחתון של האותיות. And I went on to see what's happening with the Arabic. In the Arabic, I discovered that the situation is pretty much similar to Latin. If I look at the bottom part, the shapes are very similar. It's very hard to read. However, if I look at the top part, this is where most of the identifying characteristics are. So when I'm giving this talk to kids, I have now on the screen appearing a bunch of emojis because this was my moment of discovery. I knew how my new writing system would look like. So I'd create a new writing system that would be applicant for both Hebrew and Arabic speakers. The top part would be dedicated to Arabic, so any Arabic reader could read the top part. The bottom part would be dedicated to Hebrew, so if you're a Hebrew speaker or reader, you would just read the bottom. And I started connecting letters. Each time, I took a top part of an Arabic letter and connected it with a bottom Hebrew letter, creating new hybrid characters. So this is how it looks like when it's combined. So you have the clue, but can anyone identify the letters now? Yeah, for home, bait, or bait. And I decided to call this system Aravrit. So it's a hybrid of aravit, meaning Arabic, and ivrit, meaning Hebrew. So very early on, I understood that some of the words in Hebrew and Arabic have the similar sounds, but most of them don't. So at the first stages of this project, I understood that if I want to be able to write any word, I need to have every possible combination of every Hebrew letter with every Arabic letter, which just as a proof of concept led me to the tiny number of 638 new letters. Now remember, I said I don't speak Arabic, so how can I actually design it for a language I can't talk, can't speak? Does anyone... Dagan, you're out of this quiz. Does anyone, or Brooklyn, you're out of the quiz too. Does anyone know what this place is? Yes, this is the Israeli train, which definitely has no idea that I'm giving so many talks and mentioning that. The Israeli railway system, with tons of delays, even more than the subway here, I promise. So, in this very bag, I'd have daily commutes from Haifa to Tel Aviv. And in this very bag, I had a bunch of pieces of papers with different words and different drafts and different attempts of the new Aravrit system. And whenever I would overhear someone speaking in Arabic, I would approach them and very politely ask if they've got a few minutes to help me out. So everyone were either super curious or very bored, captive audience, but everyone jumped in, and I started showing them Aravrit words, asking them if they can read them easily, and then how would they improve them? How would they improve the readability of them? People started pulling out pens and pencils, marking on my drawings. It's not exact science, so people started discussing between themselves, oh, she doesn't need this part. Of course she does, otherwise it's a whole different letter. And, things started being very energetic and heated up, just like we love. So Hebrew speakers jumped in as well. What's going on? What's going on? Starting to give their own feedback, which made me understand that the fact that I'm a native Hebrew speaker doesn't mean that I designed the Hebrew too well. Sometimes I took it too far. So people started giving me some feedback on that. And this was my way to test the system and to improve it a lot. And for the first time in my life, these parallel existence lines began to meet. And the whole concept of Aravrit, or the bottom line of Aravrit, is that everyone could read the language that he or she feels comfortable with, and still they won't be ignoring the other script, which is there, connected. And it's not a cut and paste solution, as you will see very soon. Each time I'm keeping the essence of the letter, the thing that's really important, otherwise it will be a different letter. The rest of the parts, they have to compromise for this new hybrid to be created. So here's a little backstage kind of scene. This is how a word is created. And you can see that, again, it's not exact science. We've got some lines that are combined for both the Hebrew and the Arabic. This is one of my favorite words, my sister, ukhti, achoti. So I want to show you another example of this hybrid writing system. Oh, Rabbi Berman. This is the one for you. So this is a perfect spot to stop. Sorry if I'm embarrassing you, but this is another favorite word, which I think is really fitting for today, which is love. So, Mazel Tov.
I got married on Saturday.
Yes. So we're celebrating love and connection here. So Aravrit is, it's not a font, it's a writing system, which means basically any style I want can be applied to it. You can see here several words in Aravrit. You can try and see if you can read them. We've got life, sea, love, water, connection. Each time it's in a different style. So we've got the rounder ones, we've got the bolder ones. We can create anything with it. And I started with this system for myself. I didn't want to ignore the Arabic. But very quickly, it started to spread out. Also, really important to say, remember I said I don't speak Arabic. Of course, I've been learning throughout the years. But I have a good friend. She's Lebanese, who lives in Spain, in Barcelona. She's a type designer like me. We studied together. And I wanted to share with you a tiny bit of the discussions we have about every Aravrit word. So she's my consultant for it. And you can see how it goes. We're kind of discussing the things. Can you do it? Yes, it's good. Don't do that. Yes, do that. But how can I make it happen? And so on. So People in Israel started asking for logos and to use Aravrit. Yes, it's the JCC on the Upper West Side. Aravrit started appearing in exhibitions. It was on a huge wall there. Someone from Lebanon asked me to use Aravrit for his play in Beirut, a theater director. Aravrit started appearing on walls. This is in the Light Festival in the Old City of Jerusalem. And even people started asking me for tattoos. So so Uri is Jewish and Reka is Muslim, and they wanted to have a mark to kind of express their values in life, across borders, just being a human. This is the word human. And Aravrit grew and grew to a stage that Nas Daily, if you know him, he did a video about it. And all of a sudden, the audience that started knowing about Aravrit was more than Hebrew speakers, Arabic speakers, and English speakers. People from Indonesia started writing to me. People from India told me that this project brings them hope. People from Brazil, Japan, Belgium, Korea started writing to me that they're thinking about this concept. It makes them think about their own conflicts, about their own languages. On the stage of TEDx in Vienna, I was talking in front of 4,000 people. I was just sharing it in a meeting today with someone that I thought I'm going to be speaking about Hebrew, Arabic, conflict maybe, and at 6 p.m., after 10 talks already, people were quite tired. I finished the talk. I was, exhaling my last bit of energy, and people stood up. It was a very long standing ovation, which I could not believe how this tiny project, this one woman from Israel, not a government, not a diplomat, just one person, getting this reaction. I was completely shocked. Later on, just like branches and, unexpected, I call it branches and unexpected bloomings of this project came to the Design Museum in London and so on. And to collaborations. This is, for instance, in an exhibition at the Barcelona Design Week. So we did a collaboration about crossing borders, about the natural and man-made borders of life. Aravrit started being taught at schools, both to teach Hebrew speakers Arabic and Arabic speakers Hebrew. They get a little quiz if they can read the words. I did a collaboration with the former president of Israel, Ruby Rivlin, in a blessing for the Ramadan Karim, where two kids, Marianne, first grader who speaks Arabic, and Uriel, first grader who speaks Hebrew, started coloring in the words. You can't see me. I was tearing up so much during this, because you can see that Marianne started coloring in her side, the top part. Uriel started coloring in his side. And towards the end, remember the end is left side, towards the end, it didn't matter. The kids were just coloring in. And this is why it was so beautiful for me. Aravrit I got to be the first artist to ever sell artwork outside of the Broadway shop, on Broadway at the band's Visit, the great musical, just here, I think somewhere around here. Which was really a unique experience, because all of a sudden I understood that these murals and huge sculptures are great, but people want to carry that message in a very quiet way sometimes. So my mom wears this, and once a week she comes up to me and she tells me that she has a new friend. And I ask her, oh, really? Tell me more. And she says that she's walking with this necklace. Someone understands it's like an icebreaker. Someone understands that she's open. She sees someone else. And this is really nice. This is Sarah from Belgium, who shared. I really loved it. She used to go to conferences, try to approach people, and people were kind of hesitant or suspicious of her. And since she got the t-shirt, she says that it restores trust somehow. So this was really meaningful for me, because I wholeheartedly believe that letters and communication can build bridges. Someone can read who you are, but they can also read who they are, and it happens at the same time. I'd like to share with you another story. A few years ago, I was commissioned to design a word, 2 words, towards tomorrow, on my small Mac screen, and I was told that it will be a huge sculpture, in Dubai, which you can never go and actually see. And I designed it, and that's it. It was like radio silence for 2 years. I just did everything knowing that I'm actually going to design something that I'll never get to see live. And I was designing on my little screen until I saw what happened, and I got there. So Aravrit it became a huge sculpture for the Israeli pavilion in Expo 2020 in Dubai. So there was the Israeli pavilion, everything that Israel stands for. You climb up a little hill and you reach that, and that's it. That was the only thing that was in that pavilion. So where countries are, sharing everything that's great about them, this was our message towards tomorrow. This was a really meaningful experience for me. You can see it next to people. People, of course, took photos with it, engaged with it. I got to have so many wonderful conversations about it. It was really huge. Made me understand that this project can go small size, small scale, large scale. Remember, I told you I'm not the activist type. So I have been trying to stay away from politics. I'm still kind of trying, but at some point I felt like I needed to create the word democracy. So a few years ago with the elections, something that was very strong, I felt very strongly about, and I decided that for the first time I'm designing the word democracy. And we would take it every Saturday with the kids to protest for democracy, which is basic. So this is the hard part, right, of this conversation. October 7th, sorry for the happiness, it was not happy. October 7th, I felt, this is a new English word I learned, I felt that both me, my family, and Aravrit are falling into an abyss. Yeah, that's the word, the home. Yeah. I felt that there is no way out. I have 3 kids in Israel at home, in Haifa. We would get these notifications, Dagan, you know it too well probably as well. We would get alarms in Haifa, a rocket from Yemen, rocket from Lebanon, rocket from Iran. We would see all the missiles from my living room in Haifa. And this is only my side of the story, right? Because it gets more and more complicated. I did want to share with you, because we're in this kind of cozy environment. I never show these, but I felt like it's important to show them. This is our mamad, safe room at my parents' house. In the Iran rockets, my husband, Dario, was abroad. I was with the kids, so we went downstairs, to be with my parents. And this is, every time we had a rocket attacks, we would go there and we would just hang out. We also had to work, both of us, because, work doesn't stop. At some point, we just moved the kids to sleep in the mamad, and this was their bedroom for several months. They're smiling. For them, it was an experience, but I don't think I don't think it should be normal for any child. I did see that I was feeling frozen, to be honest. But all of a sudden, people started asking to use Aravrit. People started asking for connection with it, asking for words, engaging with it, engaging with me, which made me think that maybe Aravrit is not in that abyss. Maybe Aravrit should relocate to be this northern star to help us navigate the way. We're not there yet. We have a long way to go. But I started looking at it as if this is the thing that to help us navigate out of this place. The nice thing is that these 2 people, for instance, students in a workshop I gave, in a single moment of time, as I said, they are reading, they have different agendas, they have different opinions, they have different political thoughts and opinions, but in a single moment of time, they're reading the same word, which is together. And this is the word they chose to design. I really wanted to design the word hope. For a long time, I've been trying. This is from January 2024. This is my software design for doing fonts. I was just stuck. You can't read it because it's not ready. Only this past October, I managed to feel like I can design it. And as I said, we're not there yet, but I would say that this is my life's mission, to bring back this hope somehow. So if we open the scope and not for a minute not talk only about letters, we're here together and our lives are intertwined, and I'm so happy there are people here from several places, as I said. Our lives are intertwined. We can like it, we don't have to, but realizing this, that we're here together, can start, we can start to dream together, and these dreams may turn into reality after mindset shifts. And also, zooming out even more, this notion of a hybrid really works. Taking things that already exist, because everything has been invented already, but taking things that already exist, modifying them, switching them up, and then combining them again, can create new things, and it can shift minds. And I try to think, for many years, I still do, try to think why Aravrit has such an effect on people. And what I came to understand, or at least this is, if you have different ideas, I would love to hear. But I think that letters are the most basic thing we have in life. It's like food, water, words, letters, the most basic form of communication. We're so used to reading them, right? You don't think, oh, let me read this exit sign. You just read it. So by taking this basic block of our life and modifying it, we get attention, we get the intention. So someone reads a word, the door is open, and then we can start discussing the big stuff. So for me, this whole loop was closed. I'm not ignoring the Arabic anymore. And Aravrit, it began as an experiment, but it definitely grew into something larger. I really feel that words have meaning, and words matter. And today, more than ever, we really need to make this message to bridge cultures, to bridge people and remind us that we're together. We can be together. And my next stage of Aravrit, and this is the first time I'm actually sharing it with people, my next stage of Aravrit is to use technology and AI and to combine the two to kind of set Aravrit free, to allow people to use it freely to whichever purpose they feel that they can. Because up until now, I'm the only one designing. So my intention is to make it free to all, for everyone to use it. So this is the talking part of this, but I'm happy to open for questions. Then we can do some, this is for a pre-army thing that they commissioned, the word water. They love traveling, they like hiking in Israel. So we can do questions, and then we've got a few exercises. And yes, I will. And there is also one more thing that I decided to create in collaboration with Rabbi Berman, a little gift, a little keepsake for you. And you can choose, you can take home, you can take a few, or for the whole congregation, I've got a bunch. You can either choose which word resonates with you more, either hope, tikva, amal, or dream, chalom, chelm. And it's got a little explanation in 3 languages. So I'm happy for you afterwards to take one.
Thank you, Liron, so much. For our questions, any questions that you have, I'm going to bring the mic around to you because we are recording this, and we can't hear your questions unless you are in the mic.
Hi. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Is there a set alphabet, or does every word have to be designed individually?
Great question. So for the proof of concept part, I did do the 638 letters, but since Arabic is connected, actually every letter has almost 4 forms to it, depending on where the letter is located in the word. So right now, the way I'm designing is word by word. So there is the proof of concept, but in order to make it work, I'm still designing word by word. because sometimes it's not the same letter length, for instance, so I need to figure out each word. But again, it's still based on this system.
Any other questions?
So I don't know either of these languages. How many letters are there in Hebrew and how many letters are there in Arabic?
So I've been using 22 Hebrew letters and 29 Arabic letters. So
How does that add up to 638?
times, I can't do the math right now on the spot, but it should add up, and if not, then it's even more.
So in
Because of the forms.
Arabic, there's a difference between a letter at the beginning of the word, in the middle of the word, or at the end of the word. And there's a difference whether it's a letter sitting on its own or whether it's connected to letters before or after it. So the multiple versions of each letter in Arabic is what brought Liron to 638 combinations.
So not only for instance, I'll give an example. For instance, there is the word language. In Hebrew, it's safa. In Arabic, it's lugha. So I'm actually using different sounds. I'm using s and l, which I need to combine. This is why I actually need to create all the possible combinations, which makes everything more challenging. Yeah.
Actually, Liron, would you use Toda Shukran as your example of showing us how the letters actually connect to each other and how complex it is?
For this specific word, this is like a train rescue that I got. I have a specific slide to show you how it was and then how it got corrected. So yeah, I'll share it. In the middle of the exercises, we've got that. So you'll see the answer in a second. There is a question here.
First of all, thank you very much for this amazing presentation. And I would like to ask, as you brought this to the conversation about how the pronunciation of the words in Arabic and Hebrew can mix, or is there a possibility in the future or something like this?
Thank you. This is a great question. So the thing is that it's a written writing system, but reading it, you would still get the Hebrew at its fullest and the Arabic completely as it's normally. So, and this is also, it's an interesting concept to talk about because at the beginning, I would get like Arabic teachers to ask me to use Aravrit to teach Arabic, if they can use it. And I said no, because if you want to learn a language, you need to learn it completely. You can't learn half a language or use half letters. You can use it as an incentive for the students. So if they know Arabic, they would see if I got it right, for instance. They could test me. So this was an important thing. So I never tried it. I actually, a few days ago, I spoke with an artist who does sound, and he was quite intrigued to see how Aravrit would be sound-wise. So maybe, let's see what happens. Thank you. Ready to work?
Take us into the workshop?
Yeah, ready?
All right.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
And just exploring another way of this amazing thing. How do you see the poetry in this kind of writing? Has it been done already? A poetry that works in Hebrew and also Arabic?
I can show you later. I'll fetch that. But I was very fortunate to design a part of the Khalil Gibran poem to Aravrit, and I'll show you. It's beautiful. Yeah. So it's working. Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much. I work in the nonprofit field, so I was just wondering if there were any joint nonprofits that have contacted you about using the language, or if you're interested in doing that in the future if you have any like top of mind, just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of organizations, they can be nonprofits, there can be cultural organizations, philanthropic organizations. I'm designing for many of them because it's exactly another layer to show what your organization or whatever stands for. So for instance, there was a big education conference, which I designed the words joint life for, and they used it for their branding. So that's another layer of their content and their audience, and then they get another layer. Yeah.